What is up, guys, and welcome to the VisualWood podcast.
You always have to find a way to make that interesting, don't you?
Yes, I do. And I'm joined today by the lovely, the beautiful Wooden Potatoes.
Hello! Everybody saw me. I look like Scarlett Johansson in the last episode.
Oh gosh, people were upset.
That was the last episode, wasn't it, that we did that?
Yeah, that was the last episode. Sorry, guys. I went to PAX, and that totally just like I went from Thursday all the way to Monday, and I just kind of threw everything off.
Dare you leave to enjoy PAX and make cool content?
You were supposed to be there too. A lot of people
we could have
think I
done
just
like
left
a packed VisualWood. That would have been amazing.
Yes, it would have, man. I'm telling you. All right, guys. If VisualWood gets popular and a lot of people like it,
if it's a thing next year,
yeah, if it's something next year, we totally have to do a panel or something like that. Wouldn't that be pretty cool?
A panel, dude. We would need a lot of viewers to do a panel.
I know.
Hell yeah. I mean, eventually, yes. Okay.
If it gets to that point, we could do something. Maybe 2 years from now. Something might happen. We'll see. I don't know. Will we still be doing this 2 years from now? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. If there's still updates, I mean, I've got no plans to stop. I don't think we're going to do.
Yeah. Oh, well, I hope not.
Announcing Guild Wars 3. We tried to do a lot of cool things with Guild Wars 2, but it just became too big and too complicated. We don't think we chose the right business model, so we're announcing Guild Wars 3. See you in 7 years.
No.
Bye.
Yeah, people will be upset. So upset. So much bad press there. But I will be talking about the PAX experience at the end of this, or to the end of, we just want to get some of the patch stuff out of the way. So the first thing is, of course, what we missed last time, which is the Super Adventure Box World 2.
Right, yeah, and a lot more. What was your original thinking with, World 2's out, and from that original post? Do you remember sort of the impressions you had?
I was excited because, I love Super Adventure Box. I was going Google Gaga about it, but I was expecting it to be a lot different than World 1, which it is. Because World 1 was more like a April Fool's jokes, they didn't really know how people were going to react to it. And then people really loved it. Well, at least most of the people loved it. A lot of people think of it as non-content and doesn't apply to the hardcore guys.
That can't be a huge audience. It really can't. I mean, as far as jumping puzzles and stuff goes.
There's a few out there. Oh, Super Adventure Box is boring and stuff like that. So, there's a few guys out there. Not everyone's going to like everything Arena does, obviously. But World 2 ended up being something it's harder, which I like.
It's
harder.
Massive. I mean, the thing with me was, I was like, okay, they've released World 2. Do you remember? I think we mentioned, it might have even been on a VisualWood, or we were like, okay, what do you think's coming? World 2 or World 2 and 3? Do you remember?
Right, and I thought they were going to just release everything, but no, they're actually going to make this like a episodic type of thing.
Yeah. See, so for me, I was kind of taken a little bit back by that when they were like, okay, it's just World 2, because we'd even seen the start of World 2 last time Super Adventure Box was around, and I've got to say, my original thinking, I was like, oh man, it doesn't seem like there's actually that much there. But was I wrong? Oh my God, there is so much there.
Yeah.
Just Tribulation mode alone, is massive, right? But just these 2 new levels that they've added, and actually finishing the first zone of World 2, they're huge. They're such massive worlds. I thought we'd seen pretty much all of Zone 1 from World 2, and that was pretty much it. No, it turns out the thing with the raft is halfway through the level, and then there's just loads more where you get to play Frogger and stuff. Oh my God.
Mini bosses, different traps, different enemies, different ways to progress, feeding the squid and the Yeti battle at the Zone 3. It's just so much there. And I'm Google Gagaing over it. It's good. I give it an A+ in school.
It really is, because the other thing that I kind of think of too is the other patches that they've brought out, the 2 weekly patches, whatever. When they brought them out, you could just blast through all the achievements. Think of the Jubilee. Yes, there was a lot there. There was a lot of farming and cool stuff going on. But you could blast through all those balloons and all the Queen's Champions and everything. Just boom, 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 and just be done. But then you look at the Super Adventure Box stuff. I don't know how your achievements list is going, going, but I always try and go through them.
Yeah.
I've still got so many things to do there. I've still got like collect all of the baubles to survive the raft fight without dying, all kinds of stuff still available, and this is days and days and days after the patch, and I've been playing quite heavily, and that's fantastic to me as well, because none of it even feels like, you know, all the old stuff we used to get. Okay, you need to interact with all of these signposts, or you need to walk to kill all these Aether Blades all around the world, or you need to walk around and interact with a bunch of these different things. There's nothing like that in this patch. Those were the really big time-sinky, difficult achievements, really, that used to exist for the old patches, and now this one with Super Adventure Box feels like I've got way more to do, and none of it's the grindy, boring stuff like that. It's all something like quite unique to do, except maybe collecting the baubles. But
you can really see the progression with ArenaNet in the beginning. I mean, we mentioned this many times with, you know, how the Living Story was. Before, in the beginning with the Living Story, the achievements weren't that good. There's only a couple of achievements, and they didn't really know what they were doing yet. With this one, and especially you have a full month to complete this, since they're a lot harder, especially the bauble one is so time consuming, and it's a little glitchy, by the way.
I tried to do zone 1 all the baubles, and I missed one. I was following, if people don't do this, like Dolphy puts up guides on her YouTube channel, it's insane, right? I was following one of these videos, I must have blinked at the wrong time, missed a single bauble, completed the whole zone, took me like half an hour, and then I missed it, and I was like, oh. The worst thing is you have to kill the boss to open the chest to get the last couple of baubles to ding the achievement. So like ArenaNet force you to be like, okay, I'm done, and there's no going back if you have missed one, which kind of sucks. But dude, yeah, that blew.
Yeah, it's quite annoying. So a full month to complete all these achievements, and now the achievements are a lot better, and it's not these fetch quests that some of these other achievements. Not to say that there won't be more of them next time, but you know, this one has a little bit more imagination, I guess you can say, and there's a lot of little areas, a lot of little mini games that you can easily put achievements into.
I've got to say, one of my favorite titles now in the game is Volunteer, just because it's such a terrible title from just the most... Do you remember how to get that title, Volunteer?
No.
Volunteer was the title you got for fixing the signposts at the start of Flame and Frost. The very first thing we ever saw from the Living Story awarded Volunteer for just going through all that stuff, and the little girl would send you this message.
Yeah.
Like the weirdest, most terrible, quite obscure title now in the game. I've been like repping that title nearly. I've got all these cool titles. I got the 10k title for achievement points. I got all this awesome stuff. No, it's Volunteer. Volunteer is where it's at. So even though it was terrible content, I'm like kind of happy that there's at least that there somehow that sort of survived.
Right. All right. So what do you think about the nerf? All right. So they nerfed, I think it was World 2, Zone 2. Is that what it was? I think they nerfed that one.
That one in particular was nerfed quite hard. I believe that there were sort of changes across lots of the stuff, though.
Especially the raft one as well.
Yeah, well, that's the same one, right? Zone 1, World 2.
No.
Yeah.
No, the raft is Zone 1.
Oh, you're saying Zone 2? Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, no, there was a lot changed in Zone 1 as well, though. Basically, I never experienced this. I'm in a guild with quite a few people, I would say, who aren't that into jumping puzzles, aren't necessarily that into the Super Adventure Box. But I wasn't really hearing through the grapevine that much complaints about the difficulty. But do you know what they did to the geezers, yeah, in that zone? How they all used to go up and down, and it would be like a timed jumping puzzle, and you'd have to like jump before they fell down.
Yeah.
What the patch did was they're now all up permanently. Always, they're all up.
What?
Yeah. And if you fall in the rapid, that was very enthusiastic. If you fall in the rapids now, you don't fall so far back, and you don't even the rapids don't actually do damage to you either anymore. Which is interesting in the they changed it for Tribulation mode. I do think, right, a lot of people, it's very easy, right, if you already completed the jumping puzzle stuff, to be like, oh, I already did this was easy, whatever, people are just crybabies, blah, 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 blah. It's easy to take that stance. I think a lot of people will take that stance. I sort of don't have that right now, because I do think, okay, Super Adventure Box has 4 worlds, right? We've done world 1, which should be easy, right? If we're following the regular progression of difficulty a game like this would offer, you can't. It was, even though it was still doable, it was, in my opinion, for world 2 when there's 4, it was a bit too hard. And it's sort of like, okay, if world 2 is already this hard, how are they going to surprise us with difficulty in world 4? I do think it ramped up a bit too quickly, and for that reason, it was smart that they made these changes. But they shouldn't apply to Tribulation mode, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it should be like, okay, a little bit easier for World 2, and then, for the regular mode for World 2, and then Tribulation mode for the people who want that hardcore stuff.
Stays the same.
Personally, I don't... If Arena's going to crumble over everything, crumble over a count-bound... legendaries or Cantha or something like that, like
not entirely
over,
comparable, but
I could understand. I think the reason why they did it has something to do with the infinite continue coin, don't you think? Because since it's so hard, people die constantly, and it ruins their experience if they have to go and grind some baubles to get continue coin, right?
Yeah.
So people think that they were forcing them to buy this coin in order to have a better experience with Super Adventure Box. Because if you're, not everyone is good at jumping and stuff like that with the game. I could understand that. They would feel pressured to get the continue coin because it's a better experience. Now, with Tribulation mode, I recommend you get that dang coin. Okay, yeah. I died twice as much as you did in zone, so it's, oh my gosh.
I think the main I think you're completely right about this idea that it was too difficult, especially considering people had to go off and grind lives. I think it could have, maybe, this is a bit cynical, but and it is probably not true, but I think that maybe it could have been a bit of damage control. Like, if there were enough people saying, oh, why is this ridiculous pay-to-win item in the game, that it's sort of like, okay, we'll help our image out a little bit, we'll make it a bit easier for people. But I do think it definitely has something to do with that, because one of the other main features of this patch that made everything easier was they're giving you a lot more baubles now, right? And baubles are lives. Baubles are meant to be spent in shops for lives. So now by killing so many different enemies, you now actually get a reasonable amount of baubles back out, because... My main way for how have you been getting baubles in there at the moment? I mean, you've been limited how much you can play because you're waiting for the stream.
Just by playing, I got baubles, and I had to make sure I get that torch at the end. I had about 400 by the end of that. But I mean, they really nerfed it compared to how you used to get baubles like constantly. Remember that?
Yeah,
I used to
and
farm
they made it all
things.
Daily. Yeah. And I think that's smart too. I think. I don't think Super Adventure Box would have worked. Okay, let's say they didn't make any changes to baubles, right? Like making them daily. Yeah. And then we'll fast forward till World 4's out. It would be kind of stupid if people could get infinite amounts of baubles from the easiest zones of the easiest world and then never have to worry about doing them in the later zones and the later worlds. Yeah. So I do think it's smart that they nerfed it in the early zones and now it's more profitable to play the later zones. But that sort of wasn't the case before. And for me, the main way I've now bought everything I can buy, right? All my bauble bubbles I get in there now are for like Tyrion upgrades, but the way I did that was Tribulation mode. Tribulation. And if I didn't have an infinite continue coin, I can see it would be really hard to get those baubles. Oh my goodness, really, really difficult to get them. So again, that's why I think the patch was probably quite smart. Specifically with the two things they changed, like make it a bit easier because it is only World 2. And give us more baubles, yeah. And more health as well, right? Stuff doesn't kill you so quickly.
All right, so Tribulation mode. Wow, it's all right. So it's pretty hard. We're just watching a speed run. I like this video of this guy did Zone 1 in about 5 minutes. 5 minutes and like 40 seconds or so. And no deaths, no nothing, no mess ups, no editing. Like I saw this guy try to cheap it by editing a couple
Pay
clips
attention
in
to
there.
his life bar.
Yeah, like for someone who, edits a lot, I know when someone's editing some, like clipping that in. But this guy did it, right?
It was legit.
Legit. And it
no, not legit. I've been saying legit too much lately.
The first time you do it, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard. But the thing is, once you know what's coming, you kind of know where to prepare for it. Oh, don't step on that block. That is gonna kill you. Oh, there's spikes on that. There's spikes on. You kind of get where it's going because that's the way you play the game, you know? Like, sometimes you're gonna die, and then you're gonna learn how to defeat this boss or defeat this area just by playing the game. And I think that's good game design. This guy could speedrun it. So that really gives you, like, okay, guess what? People can do it if you give it time and if you have an infinite continue going.
One interesting side effect of that, I do think that's very, very good, and it is really cool to be able to go back. Like, after I'd finished Zone 1 and then you get to go back and play it again, it's fascinating how much quicker you can do it. The one weird side effect to that, though, which in today's internet culture is a problem with so many different things with games that you can't really ask ArenaNet to fix, but one interesting side effect of that is some people can skip the beauty of Tribulation mode is that first blind run you go through, that finding all of the holes, all the trial and error, trying to outsmart the dev as the dev is deliberately outsmarting you and being cruel to you. That's the beauty of Tribulation mode. And sadly, maybe sadly to some people, because of the internet and because of the nature of on replay, you can go through this once you know where the stuff is. It is very vulnerable to players just being like, right, I don't want to bother with what essentially Tribulation is meant to be fun about, and then they'll just like watch a video and be like, oh, okay, this is how I do it, bish bash bosh, done. And you can't really blame people for that, to be honest, because it is a lot of aggro and a lot of hassle that they get rid of. But it's interesting to me that the game mode was designed for people who enjoy that torment, and yeah, that's a really niche market, I think. And now, because of the nature of how easy it is once you just have seen someone else do it, you get a lot of other people just going through it anyway. And you can take or leave whatever that means. But...
Right. I mean, it's kind of choice. I mean, it's the same thing of buying a game and picking if you want it easy, normal, or hard.
Or using cheats.
Or using
in
cheats.
Old games, yeah.
Yeah, or using
or
glitches,
a strategy guide.
Or a strategy guide. Like, it's the same thing. Like, if people don't want to really experience the game how the developer wanted them to experience it, then they could just do whatever they want. I mean, really, I don't want to. It sounded like I was like saying something there, but no, that's not what I meant. Like, if you want to watch a video, that's fine. That's fine. For me, I like it. I like it for this. I like it. I don't like it for every type of game, but for this, I kind of like to experience it fresh.
Yeah, it's weird because I do remember being really young. I must have been like 7 or 8 or something, playing like one of the old Final Fantasies on my PlayStation. And I remember I think I had a guide with me, or I had a friend who had a guide, and we were looking at it for ages trying to find something out. And I remember my mum came in and she was like, what's the point in looking at that? Why are you even playing if you're just like using a guide or cheating your way through it? And that like blew my mind when I was younger. I was like, whoa, that's really weird. Why am I enjoying doing like this? Yeah. It's just nature of the way, and it's not a new thing, I guess. I was just talking about the internet. I guess the internet compounds it, but it's not new at all. It is interesting to see with Tribulation mode, though, the amount of people who really don't enjoy it, but they're like, I want those achievement points. And they'll do it anyway.
Yeah, the discovery of certain things, it's like, oh, this is the way you do it. Oh, after like hours and hours of playing. That's why I said it has a very retro feel to it. It's just like hours and hours of just slamming your head onto the wall, and then finally you do a breakthrough, and the satisfaction of completing Zone 1 was amazing. All right, so
yes.
After hours and hours, because it's our first time trying it out. Now we go to Zone 2, we kind of figure out, okay, it's brutal. We know what to expect. Okay, we'll go around here. Okay,
you're watching the terrain, waiting for the caves.
Even though terrain doesn't mean anything. Oh, there's a little patch of grass here. That means that it's safe. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't at all. It's like, oh, okay, there's a wall here. Then nothing's gonna poke out the wall and penetrate your face. No.
I didn't find out for ages that the random times I was dying by like these torpedo things actually were the helping hands on the walls that are meant to be guiding you around. I didn't find that out for ages. I was like, why am I just randomly dying? And then it turns out it's those. It's
my God. They just shoot off the wall. You're like, oh, okay.
Have you done it? Have you done it in co-op yet? Have you done it with other people around?
No, but I heard what happens if you go onto the checkpoint. I thought that it's like the regular mode where you just get spawned to the checkpoint, right? So you know, people don't hold you back. Remember when we were talking about it, because we were planning on doing the last world, and but no, you step on it. And the checkpoint kills you. What is that?
Have you seen the animation for it too?
Yeah. Well, I saw the pictures. Is that what you mean?
No, like the way it works is, you know, there's all those little poles that are like sticking up. There's like 5 of them. You step on it too early, unless both players or all 5 players stand on their respective things at the same moment. You step on it too early, it'll wobble. And then it will just drop down on you instantly and just fall on your head. So, like, it literally, like, bends it. It's just got such a cool animation. And you're just sat there like, what? What happened? It makes it really hard for some of the checkpoints as well. There's, like, one in Zone 2 where, you know, those rocks that bounce all over the damn place. There's one of those right near the end of Zone 2. And if you're trying to coordinate, that's near some spikes too. So if you're trying to coordinate 5 people to stand on the checkpoint all at the same time without this rock knocking you all over the place into the spikes, Oh, it's not easy. Which is cool, actually, I think, because it sort of balances out the fact it's often easier when you've got loads of people.
Right. All right, for Tribulation mode, for completing World 1, you get the options of getting green skins. For completing World 2, you get the options for getting yellow skins. You can also check these at the PvP locker if you want to see how they look like. You know, they're just different colors, basically.
You get red World 3 and purple World 4 as well, apparently.
It's going to be great. I'm definitely going to be doing purple.
Really? Everyone's happy about the purple. I kind of wanted red to be at the end.
Oh, I want red as well. Definitely.
I don't know what class I'm going to have my red one on. I might, like, eventually gear my warrior up with some nice stuff and give him the red. Because I think the red super great sword is going to look so good.
You made a yellow skin, right?
No,
I mean a green skin. Sorry, a green skin.
Yeah. I've made quite a few of them.
So how do you make the green skin? You take one of the tokens and then...
You'll get a token from Zone 1, a token from Zone 2, a token from Zone 3. They're the Toad tokens, right? Because that's the boss at the end of World 1. And then you can go to Motto, outside the Super Adventure Box, regular Tyria now, and he's got a tab there called his designs, and there for 2 gold you can buy like a pistol design, a greatsword design, a scepter design, whatever. That's where you pick which weapon you want. So I picked a pistol. You buy that, and then you chuck in the Mystic Forge the design with the 3 tokens, and out will pop your weapon. I went for the pistol. Did you know the pistol's got like a really cool sound effect to it?
Oh no.
It's like a proper phaser gun. It's like, it's amazing.
Wow,
it's really good,
so
dude.
They're proper skins. Okay, that's pretty good.
I don't think they've all got different sound effects. I don't know whether the regular Super Adventure Box pistol has that sound effect either. I guess it must.
You know what they need to make?
It's cool.
They really need to make a Super Adventure Box legendary eventually. You know, maybe like after World 4 or something like that. You know.
Well, I mean, they did say, I believe it was in your interview actually, didn't they say that basically next on the table really for legendaries we're going to be looking at a couple of like the trinkets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think we could be seeing that. I think, and someone else mentioned, I mentioned capes on Twitter a while ago. I was like, hey, what's going on with capes? And someone was like, I think they're waiting for capes to do legendary, like that'll be the legendary back slot, and it'll be capes. Because think about it, there's so many different things you can do with capes, man.
Mind blown.
So many different things you can do with capes. So many different designs and shimmer effects and all kinds of crazy stuff.
That would be so messed up because he was like playing it off like, oh, they're doing it on their off time, and then all of a sudden, boom, capes is legendaries.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? The crazy thing about capes used to be, if people don't know, capes used to be in the betas, and you could see, I think maybe even still you can, but you used to be able to see, everyone says, right, that capes aren't in the game because of clipping issues, and namely because of the char. Well, that's funny because the only NPCs I've ever seen wearing capes, even when they weren't available to players, was char NPCs. Char NPCs with capes that worked perfectly as they moved their tail around, like the cape was folding along it and stuff. Like, I remember seeing that. It was like one of those old char NPCs. I remember it. So, but they've been removed for some reason. If you have a look at the... do you remember also at launch of the game, right, how you got back items? They were basically only from the guild vendors. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guild backpack. Still, to this day, if you guys go to Lion's Arch, you can speak to one of those guild vendors, and you will see that, you know how different vendors have tabs, yeah? One of the vendors has still got a tab that says disabled content to be released in the future, and I believe that tab is exactly where capes were originally going to be implemented and sold from, and that tab's still there, and you can still see it, but you just click it and nothing's available. But yeah, I think I don't know why I'm saying that, because I think it's all going to get scrapped anyway for like legendary capes. But yeah, man, capes. I don't know how we got to capes. But
my mind is so blown from that right now. Like it's not even here anymore. I'm in outer space. Anyways, legendary updates. Legendary updates. All right. I don't know if you were affected by this. At least the cosmetic stuff.
Oh, yes, I was.
Upgrades. Yeah. All right. What two legendaries do you have again?
Okay, so I've got the Incinerator. I think the Incinerator had a bit of an upgrade. This was my first legendary.
No one sees it. Two of my friends have Incinerators and they don't see it at all.
They said that they'd upgraded it, right? But they don't really. I can't see much of a difference. I don't know whether it's to the footstep effect or not, though, because my second legendary is the Scepter Meteorologicus, and I wield my Incinerator in the offhand. So now I have two different legendaries that now have footsteps. Meteorologicus never used to have footsteps.
You have it?
Yeah,
dude, that's one of my favorites. Dude,
it's so good. It's so good. It's kind of weird. There's a few weird things. So they did loads to Meteorologicus. First, they gave it footsteps. The footsteps are like lightning strikes, but they're cool for a couple. I saw it on the stream and I was like, that doesn't even look that good. They are really cool because the lightning strikes have... eventually the lightning goes away and it turns into like this black storm cloud that persists for a long time. So they last a really long time as footsteps. The other cool thing about them is those lightning bolts don't actually scale with character size at all. I play a female Asura, the smallest thing you can pretty much get in the game, right? Mm-hmm. So as I walk around, if I hammer like WASD, just tap, 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 I get all these footsteps, all these lightning strikes, and the lightning strikes are as tall as me. So it looks like my character is perpetually in like this lightning storm. Like there's even more in your face than bolt. It's crazy. It's awesome.
Wow. So that's pretty nice.
That was one thing. The other thing that they changed to Meteorologicus is it's now got a day and night cycle. So when it's nighttime, well, during the day it's regular cloudy effect, but during the night the clouds go all purple and dark and lightning starts striking all over it, which just looks awesome. They seem to have removed one effect with it. It used to have... I've got so much to say about Meteorologicus. It used to have like a trail effect, right? So as you're walking around, you know how some legendaries, as you swing them, it's got like a whoosh, whoosh kind of thing. Meteorologicus used to have a really long one of those, and it had two different colours. It was awesome. And I think that's because it never used to have a footfall. But now that they've added the footfall, that swoosh effect is like bugged. Sometimes it will show up, sometimes it won't. I wish it was always there, because it's sort of lost some of its visual intrigue, I suppose, or whatever. It's lost some of its cool effects now, because it's got this weird bug with it. But aside from that, like, it's badass, man. I've got a Sigil of Night on it because now it's one of these weapons that shows me when it's nighttime. Like I've got a Sigil of Night, so 10% increased damage at night instead of a Sigil of Force, which is just 5% flat. It's awesome. It's amazing. So yeah, I was affected by the update, and it was great.
So a legendary's actually got updated to Ascended stats, and now we can switch it to any stat we want. And I've said this before, but like, you know, all we need is the legendary gear and legendary armor and trinkets and all that, and we'll be able to pick any stat we want and any build we want. I can't wait for that.
I don't think we'll ever get to that point. Jeez. Or if we do, it'll be like 3-4 years down the line. Oh my god.
No. I think by end of next year we'll have a lot of what we need, at least.
Okay, maybe you're right. I think 3 years down the line we might even be looking at another tier of gear at that point, but yeah,
no other tier gear. Don't say that.
There probably will be, dude, and people shouldn't be upset about that. Look, if it's so far down the line, that it's 3 years down the line,
but they have no plans for it. No plans at all for it. Colin said no plans at all for more than Ascended. No. At the
moment, but he also said that they weren't gonna say it was never gonna happen.
Right,
because every man and their dog knows that if you're still playing Guild Wars 2 in 3 years, you're eventually going to want more statistical progression. You're gonna want it because they can't rely on just horizontal progression at this point, because if they do that, then they'll have the same problems they had in the first game. People will eventually want it. Even the most casual people with 20,000 ults, and every single one of their ults has 4 different specs, and for some crazy reason they feel like they all have to be in the top 0.001% of stats for all those specs. Whatever. Eventually, everyone will be saying, "Look, should we get something more?"
I'm not saying I disagree with you, because I do agree. I kind of like having better stats than everyone else. But the thing is, the way how they're setting up Ascended gear, it's how they're gonna make it harder for you to get another gear tier. Like, they're already making Ascended stuff hard to get.
Yeah, and again, like, I think 3 years, that's a very long time scale. I don't think that will be necessary for a really, really long time.
They can add other stuff. They don't have to add gear. They don't have to. Well, I mean, of course, like skills, traits like that. I'm pretty sure they're gonna come up with some other ways to build your character other than armor pieces.
And that's an interesting idea as well, that it's sort of a time sink before you can get those other options. And I quite like that idea too, to an extent. Yeah. As long as it's not too bad. And the main problem with that idea is when you've got, oh, hey, you unlock... So Elementalists have the Tornado Elite, and it's terrible. But you can unlock Super Mega Tornado, which has got triple the damage, triple the health, everything, but only after you've done X, Y, or Z for thousands of hours. And now nobody wants you to play dungeon. I mean, that's an extreme example, and that's the main problem of the community with this kind of stuff, because they always play on slippery slope arguments that never come to be. But, there is that potential threat there with that. Like, but yeah.
Account-wide magic fine. So that has been put in as well, and now I was totally wrong. I'm thinking that it wasn't like a leveling thing where you just keep clicking over and over again. I thought it was like kind of a boost that you get, right? Which would have been kind of stupid. But this one, I like the way that they put this in. So salvaging blues and greens, and opening champion bags, I think as well, you get a lot of these Essence of Luck. And then you click on them,
completing
gain XP,
dailies.
And then it's account wide, so you can get it. The top you can get, the most you can get is 300% magic fine.
But and here's what I think is so fantastic about the system. That's very, 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 very difficult to get. I wouldn't have cared. I heard there were some people that I was speaking to that were like, "Oh my god, it's so hard to get to 300%. It's really, really difficult. What's going on here?
Why do you have to get it now? What is up with this thing?"
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. It would have been a completely uninteresting feature to me if it was something I could that was attainable in the short term. I'll sink 200 gold into it, and then you've got 300% done. If it was something as simple as even that, I wouldn't have been interested in it. But now that I know how hard it is, this is something tangible that I'll be working on for a very, 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 very long time. And I may never max out 300%. And I really like that. I really do. I think that's so awesome. I'm glad that they went with something long-term like that. Something that's not, so casual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, we were talking about this in the PvP episode, Learn to Play PvP. And, I kind of like that not many people will get max in PvP, or like we were talking about MapleStory, how basically only a handful, not a handful, but only couple hundred players out of the millions of players in MapleStory only reached level 200.
Really? Is that true?
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you can see it on the leaderboards.
I don't think Guild Wars 2
that's it.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously combat level and stuff like that is probably more important than Magic Find is in this game, which is why I think they sort of get away with it. I do think you've always got to remember Guild Wars 2 does have a demographic and a vision of its own, and a lot of the time that will mean that a lot of stuff is meant to be attainable, and that's totally fine. But I like that here with Magic Find, because they get, all I'm trying to say, ignore the whole casual thing, I'm just trying to say that because they left it at such a high cap, it's going to remain relevant to me for a very long time, and that makes it a cool feature to me.
It won't be just like one of those achievements that they put in the Living Story, which you have to complete within 2 weeks. It's something for a long-term progression, not just short-term.
Yeah, and I think people who are upset that it's such a long thing are sort of stuck in that mentality that, oh, this is meant to be like living story achievements. It's not. It's something much more permanent and long term. Because, I mean, especially with the way they implemented it, how it's from salvage. The whole point was to make blues and greens interesting again. Do I want to sell it to a vendor or do I want to salvage it? If you could just fire and forget finish it, then it's like, oh, now they're just completely irrelevant again. And all of ArenaNet's efforts to make them an interesting part of the loot system in this game is again like devoid. It's gone. So yeah, I think that was very smart, and I liked that about that change. How much have you got, by the way, at the moment? I'm curious.
I haven't gotten much yet.
Neither have I.
I had like a stack of blues in my trading post, and I forgot to take them out before the patch went out because they were so cheap. I had like 2-3 stacks in there, and they got sold instantly. Wow, man. And now everything is up to like a silver now, when it used to be like 20 copper. I don't know, they were really cheap.
I've heard that that's actually had quite a big impact, because now this all costs more. It's had quite a big impact on buying new gear for leveling up. Like leveling alts and stuff. So I haven't really come across that. I tend to be really bad with gear while I'm leveling up. I just have the same gear on until I get to level 80 and then be like, okay, I'll get rid of this. And I'll be like just a terrible player until I finally hit 80. I've only got 38%, by the way. That's my magic find. 38%.
I'm like at 29.
Oh, beating you. And most of mine comes from achievement points anyways. Like, I just went off on that long rant about how good it is and it's hard. I've not even got that much yet. I still find myself vendoring it, to be honest. I've never really cared much about Magic Find.
Yeah, I definitely want to level it up just because it's there. And
it's permanent.
Yeah, and it's permanent, so it's like, okay, it's permanent, so I don't have to worry about it going away or anything like that. So eventually I just keep salvaging. Eventually I get to the point there where I want to be. And it's account wide. That's like the main reason. So you don't have to worry about, all these
putting on the wrong character.
Yeah,
and stuff.
It's like any character you have, you're good. You're ready to go. So it's a good update. Everyone's excited about it. There's no way you can be negative towards that. All right. So
what's next on the list?
We're going to talk about PAX. Okay, now we're going to talk about PAX.
We did skip one thing that I don't think either of us have participated in, but we should mention, this is the only place people get news from, which is never going to happen. But you mentioned earlier Ascended weapons. Yes, legendaries are now Ascended weapons, but you can now craft your own Ascended weapons too, but neither of us have really done it right now, yeah?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to mention it anyway because that is a big part of the patch. That's another big thing a lot of people are doing. The economy's changed a lot, not just because of the Magic Find stuff, but because of that too. But yeah, go on. Sorry, PAX.
Yeah, everyone's spending money towards that as well, trying to get the Ascended stuff early, which I don't know. I think
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait
a little bit as well. Yeah. I haven't gone too crazy with it. I've been more with SAB for a while, but yeah,
I was never that interested in crafting in this game anyway, or just I guess crafting in general probably. I don't know, crafting because I've used crafting.
Right. It doesn't seem like technical. Like it seems like okay, this and this, boom. Level.
It just to me, because I usually have used it to level alts, and because of that, I tend to find it this very tiresome time and money sink, and that's about it. And I'm only doing it because I want to level up, and I'm not really enjoying it. And I know I could, like chefing, you could probably have a lot of fun if you played a character from 0 to 80 and you spent your whole time like finding potatoes and onions and stuff and then combining them into different types of stew and whatever. You could probably have a lot of fun, but I've just never really, I always find myself more compelled to just look at a guide, and to the detriment of my own enjoyment. But that's the way I am, I guess.
All right, so we should talk about. You want to clarify about PAX, Mr. Wooden Potatoes?
What about it?
Dodging the questions and stuff. Like, all right, people. ArenaNet invited me and you.
Whoa, are we allowed to say this?
What? That we
are
got
we allowed
invited?
to say this? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, yeah, go for it. Yeah, we were.
yeah. I mean, what? ArenaNet they did invite you though. Like that's not something bad to say, is it? I don't think so.
But
if anything, I'll get an angry email.
Did you have to sign an NDA for anything?
What, to say that you were going? No. We were free to tell anybody after a certain point. Remember? Yeah. We had to sign an NDA to go inside the office. Well, for me to go inside the office. But all All right, so they invited me and you. I decided to go and you didn't, right? So just to clarify that it wasn't only me. And, you know, it's like, oh, Matt didn't deserve it, and Wooden Potatoes deserved to go, or whatever.
Nobody's saying that.
I'm clarifying everything, all right?
Oh, my God.
I'm clarifying
Nobody's
everything. I don't want people thinking that way. So, yeah, there you go.
Jesus.
It's up to Wooden Potatoes if he wants to mention why he didn't go. So we'll move on.
It was very short notice, guys. It was very short notice, and it was also it's all just kind of technical stuff, but it was also a question of sort of what we could get from going and stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe next year if the opportunity comes up again. It's like we were saying at the start, but yeah, I chose to abdicate. How was your experience?
All right, it was pretty dang awesome because this is my first time. I mean, going this far away from my little south area of the map. Pretty much I've only been to I've been to New York, but I live in Atlanta, just in case you guys know where I'm talking about. I used to live in Florida for quite a while and moved up to Georgia, so it was my first time kind of going all the way to this corner of the map. So I went to Seattle, and basically
was it raining in Seattle?
Yeah, the first day it was. The first day
Awesome.
It was just pouring rain, and people were like, oh my gosh, this is just like Twilight, just like Twilight. You know how, Twilight, there's always raining and stuff like that in Washington. But yeah, I didn't have my badge when I first got there, so I went around to the Polaris meetup. If you guys don't know, it's a game station, the new game station, and said hello to a lot of the YouTubers. So saw Jesse Cox and Dodger and Markiplier and Chad and all these people. It was great. It's great. So I met a lot of people. I met Total Biscuit. Talked with him for a few. Took lots of pictures. Anyways, you guys want to hear about the Guild Wars 2 stuff. After that, I went to the ArenaNet offices, right? The first day that I was there. I was there for 3 days and then half days. So I went there Thursday, got there Thursday night-ish, and then got some sleep. In the morning, I went to the ArenaNet offices. And signed an NDA and got to kind of take a tour. You guys should see I should make a little video of the tour that I took and stuff like that. I'll put that together. Man. But they basically it's very, I mean, obviously it's clean, but it's very white with concept art. And
tell them about the cereal and the sweets.
Oh yeah, all right. So it's very open concept, right? So when you walk in, there's a nice a nice TV, 4 TVs put together, and you see trailers, going on with some couches and stuff. And it's glass doors and stuff so you can see through. And when you open through, there's tables and very open, and there's no cubicles. So everything is open. The only, I guess, doors you have is just separating the hallway from, I guess, where everyone works. And, then you go downstairs and then you see these dispensers, right? So you have cereal and candy, and you have these 2 humongous you ever go to the gas station and you open those glass doors and you see all those drinks and stuff like that? That's what ArenaNet has. Just every drink you can think of. It's amazing. It's amazing. So that was,
they live like kings.
Yeah, they do. But if you want to hear about Kings, I went to their game room, dude, and they have literally every system. I've seen a Nintendo, dude. A Nintendo.
I remember hearing about their game room actually before they were when they moved into their new office. There was a lot of talk about. Do they have a ping pong table in there as well?
Yeah. They had a ping pong contest with the Penny Arcade guys.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? They put up videos about it.
Yeah. I remember watching that, and that's crazy. They have ping pong tables. They have pretty
Were
much
any
all
devs
the gaming
playing
system.
anything?
No,
when you went.
No,
okay.
I think everyone was busy or out at PAX. They have loads of tabletop games, even a huge desk of D&D.
Really?
Yeah, with stairs and the full board, man. the full board. It's nuts. They also have this big char that someone made for them that is still there, and it's like they keep putting stuff on him and dressing him, so it's pretty funny. I saw some like cool stuff on the devs screens, and I was like looking at them, and the guys were like looking at me like, dude, like invasive privacy, like it's like oh hi, how you doing, like this is really cool, you know. And I got to meet all the devs, and man, like, you know, it's crazy putting a face to like text, you know, like meeting,
because you know these people from online as just like, okay, this is just a name, but they're kind of abstract, right? And then you get to meet them, it's like totally different.
Yeah, and it adds more personality to their text now. Every time they, you know, if they will talk to you on Twitter or whatever, you kind of understand how they're saying it and stuff like that, and if they're joking or being sarcastic or anything like that, because you kind of get some of their personality from talking to them in real life. So it was awesome meeting them, and wow, like I made a couple friends as devs. Like they're really cool. They're really just, it's strange how, you know, we sit here and we complain about a game, and like we don't really realize there's like real people.
They're real people. They are, yeah.
They're real people, regular dudes that just are doing a job. Okay, they just have a lot more fans than the regular person.
That's the thing. It's really easy to be like, oh, ArenaNet are messing up. ArenaNet, this entity that I don't have to put a real face to. Right. And then you realize it must be so eye-opening to just be like, oh, these are just real people. And there might be a lot of decisions and stuff that are made, but it was maybe not by one guy that had all these nefarious intents. It's just sort of the way a company works, and they're just people trying to do as well as they can. I can totally understand where you're coming from.
Right. It's great. And, you know, they talk all the time. It's like, oh, you know, there's certain things we have to work on first. You know, there's certain things that take priority over others, and you know, they're talking about a bunch of different stuff. And you know, even with I did the 2 interviews with Colin Johansson and Izzy Cartwright. I keep calling him Izzy, but his name's Isaiah Cartwright.
I think everyone calls him Izzy though. There's a video on YouTube of that guy, like, I think it must have been while he was at university or something. Like, I can't remember what happens, but it's like this ridiculous video of someone rolling down the stairs or something, or someone like drunk, and it's to do with Izzy, and Izzy's there. Really weird. It's funny the stuff that you end up picking up on from being a part of this community for so long. Whenever I see him in like a video interview or something, I'm like, I remember that video you did.
Yeah. He's like, oh, how embarrassing.
But you went to like 2 different parties, right? Didn't you, while you were there?
Yeah, the MMORPG one and the ArenaNet one. MMORPG one was after the offices, going to the offices. And by the way, Colin Johansson is tall as hell. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, like that guy's a tall, skinny guy. Like it's crazy. And it was great meeting them. Oh, by the way, like, I don't know, a lot of people have, you know, like ways how they do interviews. And for some reason, this was just so like easy to just kind of do. Like it wasn't, there was no PR guy. Like I mentioned this on Guildcast. There's no PR guy like sitting there like, oh, you can't say this, you can't say that. You know, like basically he was willing to just take the questions without even looking at them, and you know, like he did.
That takes some confidence.
Yeah,
well.
Really does. It does, and I think a little bit of trust that I wasn't gonna sit there and just grill him about some stupid crap.
It was real hardball.
Yeah, and he actually gave me a lot of meat, so that great interview.
That's what she said.
Yeah, really, a lot of meat, right? Right. But yeah, I went to 2 parties. MMORPG, I ended up talking with the lead PvP designer. I think I do.
John
I
Carpening?
never remember. I remember names, but I never remember what they do. Yeah, it was John Carpening, and I talked with him and a couple of the PvP guys that were there. It was only me and the PvP guys and the shoutcasters that were there. Anyways, I talked with
I was waiting for it.
Twerp, the Canadian guy, and a lot of the Sync guys, and then there was the EU guys there as well. They didn't speak too much English.
Who was super hardcore practicing all the time. By the way.
They were. They were on
because we're hardcore in Europe.
They were practicing during like the panel and everything. Like every minute that they had, they were practicing. It was nuts, man. They were determined to do that. Then I went to the what everyone saw on the live stream, which is the anniversary bash, and I saw a lot of fans there. Yeah. I saw the Taquado fight.
Which we'll talk about later.
Because someone asked the question about it. Oh gosh, I'm pretty sure I said that wrong too. I keep saying axe. I can't stop, guys. I can't stop saying axe.
That's like a thing. Why axe? What?
I can't. I don't know. Like it's just in my brain. Like there's certain things that you pick up on with all these different accents, especially.
That's what Ray from Everybody Loves Raymond does. There was a whole episode about that.
Axe. Every time I say axe, I'll just have like a graphic of an axe, like. Trying to hit me.
You should do that. You should put like a counter on, and it could become like a staple of your videos.
Yeah, definitely. Or people just get like all the grammar Nazis will just come and kill me. It was great. It was seeing all of them, and the panel was great. And I mean, just to be there, I was thinking about going up there and asking the question, but it's just like Like I already did the interview, so I'm not. Wait,
what? Did you just say Justin Bieber? And then I was thinking of asking a question.
No. I was thinking about asking a question, not
to who?
Not Justin Bieber. No, to the panel.
Okay.
To Justin Bieber.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that's what I heard you say.
Oh, don't you have like all his CDs, right?
He was at PAX. Yeah, I'm a massive fan. I've got his poster. I'm looking at it right now with his dreamy eyes.
But I don't want to spend too long on this, but I watched the PvP match, and we were talking about this, right, when I was telling you about the PAX stuff.
Right.
And, like, you said the live stream was, like, really bad. Like, and I was watching the views.
Whoa. It wasn't a bad live stream.
Well, compared to, like... Yeah,
it sounds like compared to the live experience, the thing with the live stream was we couldn't really hear the live crowd. I think that's really important for a good live stream, so that you can like tap into what you're hearing everybody else. Like that, you'll get the general vibe of the environment if you can hear a lot of the crowd.
Yeah.
Now we could hear a tiny bit of them when they got really excited, but for my purposes, listening in at home, it was very dry. It was pretty much just in-game audio, and the dialogue volume of the in-game audio was like really loud, so you'd hear like people go, "I summon the winds," and it was like conflicting with the caster's voice, and then you had the two casters, and that was kind of the entire experience. But you came back and said basically it was this incredible, amazing thing, right?
All right, yeah. So this is how it went. All right, and I'll speak about why a lot of them were yelling and stuff like that. So everyone who came to the anniversary bash, they came for the exclusive content. They came for PvE. They didn't come for PvP. And you kind of knew that. PvP is not that big, right now. Hopefully they'll get to the point where they are. A lot of people are very skeptical about it. But if they push or they, come up with new modes or something, they'll figure out something. Basically, most of the people there were for PvE, right? So, and people decided to stay for the PvP match, right? Just to see what's going on. And it was full. The place was full of people, like just the same amount of people that decided to stay, right? So, the people who stayed, I think they turned over a new leaf and they actually enjoyed themselves. The crowd was going nuts with a lot of they begin to get like really rowdy, especially at the last match. And it's a shame that you guys couldn't hear any of that. And
we missed it.
The energy from the PvP players, especially Sync, right? They were yelling at each other. Now, the reason why they were yelling at each other was not because they were yelling at each other and they're getting rowdy or anything like that. But the thing is, they couldn't hear each other at all, right? What happens is, somebody was telling me, I'm not going to say names, but they got the setup wrong, right? The people who are setting up the stuff set it up wrong. What was supposed to happen is they were supposed to have earbuds in their ear and then have a headset,
noise canceling
headset on top of it, so they'll be able to the voice communicate with each other, because the crowd and the shout casting and stuff like that, you'll get confusing if you can't concentrate on the game. They didn't have that set up. They just had headphones, regular just headset headphones. There no noise cancellation. That's bad. That's really bad. You can't really hear everything, especially if other people are talking and stuff like that. So they couldn't hear each other. They couldn't coordinate properly. So you see, like, a lot of the times, like, they were losing home base constantly. Like, a lot of crazy stuff were happening. The crowd was going wild. I mean, like, rowdy. And I did catch some of it on tape, so I'll be able to show some of that. They were going so people were getting excited, and it was a high moment, I think.
And you say particularly in Game 3, everyone was going like nuts. Everyone really wanted
because they almost came back. Yeah, they almost came back, and they did.
For us watching the stream, it was sort of like a done deal. It was like, yeah, we know that this is over. This is just the third match. This is just finishing it up. And it was a very different. I've got to admit, I can't speak for everyone who watched the stream. I'm sure there were some people that got really enthused, but there was none of that incredible energy. I'm sure anyone who's ever been to a live sports event can relate and understand probably what it felt like to be there. It was really lost on us, sadly, and I feel like a lot of it would have translated if, like, just the audience themselves had been mic'd up, and it would be hard to get the volumes right. I'm not claiming to know how to do something like that, but I know a lot of good streams, that's like key, and sadly we didn't get too much of it from home, so it was a different experience. I'm glad though that a lot of PvEers, is as you say, at the convention it was mostly PvEers there. I'm glad that they got to see the excitement behind PvP. But what do you think? Do you reckon many of them will be actually playing more of it, or?
I don't know. Like, the problems are still there. That nothing has changed. The same problems that we have mentioned before. PvE characters are very attached to their characters, so coming into PvP, it's kind of like, you don't have any armor. Yeah, all your stuff. There's no progression. For the PvP stuff, there's none of that, and there's no easy way. I mean, if someone goes straight into a PvP match and goes into a 20 player match, it sucks. I'm sorry. Like, that experience in the beginning, if you're just coming in, that's not fun. Getting 20 people steamroll you. I mean, not 20 people. Like, most of them get into groups of people. Like 3. Yeah, groups of 3, and then you're trying to cap the node, and 3 people just come and raffle stomp you. It's just like, this sucks. Yeah. It's not a good experience. Now, if you play tournaments and 10 player matches, 5v5, those are a lot better experience.
Yeah, and people just don't know. I mean, we could talk for ages about PvP. Yeah. It's a bit out of the scope of PAX. Right. What happened after that then? You had a day to yourself, pretty much, right?
After the arena party, we did the arena party. It was nice. We played Super Adventure Box. They had competitions. I met Josh Foreman, which told me that he wants me to play Tribulation mode, which I did or whatever like that. It was awesome meeting. It was awesome meeting him. Like,
it must be really crazy having met the guy that pretty much. I mean, I don't know how much his design involvement went into this next round of the Super Adventure Box. Yeah, but it must be really crazy.
It's a team, of course, obviously. But I heard the main driving force is Josh Foreman and Lisa. Don't know her last name. I don't know her last. I apologize. I apologize.
Oh, that's a beautiful last name.
I don't know her last
really
name.
Unique.
But like Lisa and Josh is the driving force. But of course, it's a team that makes the game, of course. But she handles all the coding and stuff like that, making sure that the game works, with all this craziness of Super Adventure Boxes. I mean, really, like, we never expected this to happen in Guild Wars 2. And I think this really defined Guild Wars 2's updates for later on. Because, I'm pretty sure Super Adventure Box is not going to be the only thing that comes out that's going to be something weird. Don't you think?
I think it's great. It's a fantastic update. But with what I was saying earlier about the achievements, that I really like these achievements. They've taken me a long time to get. I've still got plenty more. They all feel unique. They're not really grindy in the same ways that other ones have been. That's all well and good, but I don't think it's particularly indicative of what the other updates coming are going to be like. I really don't. It's so different. It's so out there. It's a completely different ball game.
I'm not saying I'm not saying every patch we're going to get Super Adventure Box.
No. No. But the next patch we get is going to be to do with Tequatl. And the one after that, for example, that's really going to progress the living story going forward. That stuff, it is very far away from what the Super Adventure Box offers us. I'm very curious about what those future patches will be as ArenaNet sort of settle into a really cool groove. But I think it's still up in the air what we'll be seeing for like the main patches, because Super Adventure Box isn't really a main
I have to disagree because there's no way like Super Adventure Box World 4 done. There's no way they're not going to come up with something else that's
It'll
not
keep
something
coming back.
Well, I mean, once World 4 goes, it might be the end of that story. If it comes back, it's going to be something totally different, I think.
Yeah, but it will keep coming back, but it's arriving like once every 3 months, less than that. And we're getting a different update every 2 weeks. So the majority of the updates are something completely different. So it's hard to look at all I'm saying is it's hard to look at Super Adventure Box and predict and like speak to the quality of the other updates, the majority of the updates, just because it's totally different. But I do think, it proves that ArenaNet can do a lot of crazy, interesting stuff, and we could definitely see that seep through to the other ones. Yeah, definitely.
What do you think about... All right, I mentioned this before. What do you think about... All right, so Super Adventure Box is going to be for the whole month. What do you think about updates doing this constantly? That I mean, obviously it's not going to work with every update, but what about, the next living story? It actually stays in for the month instead of 2 weeks. So it kind of helped the people who are, they say they don't have enough time in 2 weeks to play content.
Well, I think we've already sort of seen them start to do that. They've settled on something quite smart to me. They've gone the first update. So 2 weeks passes, we get an update. That update introduces us to a new area, the Zephyr Sanctum, and a bunch of new achievements. That stays for the whole month. 2 weeks after, we get sort of an add-on to it and a bunch of other stuff that does only last for 2 weeks. But we have had the Zephyr Sanctum for a full month. And then the Crown Pavilion is introduced to us, and that's available for the whole month. 2 weeks in, we did get a bit some extra stuff that did go away after 2 weeks, but we did have a whole month of content already. So they're sort of already 50% there, and they've been smart about it, because the first 50, the 50% that stays the whole time, I'm going to bog people down with stats that I don't need to here, but the bit that stays for the whole time is always introducing a new zone to us as well. So I think that I would be perfectly happy if they just stuck with what they already have. I can log in, I can stop playing Guild Wars 2 for 29 days in theory, and then come back, or whatever, 27 days, come back, and still have a day to complete all the stuff that was added all that time ago. I think there is ample time to play and get it. It depends how much content they can produce. I mean, I guess now their living story stuff's all set in stone. Now, this is the curious moment where we see what they do with the rest of the company. Are they going to shuffle the rest of the company around and really start having talks about expansions? They're always saying, we don't know, we haven't decided. You need to decide. Have those meetings. Figure out what you're doing with expansions, whether you want them or not. I don't know where the initial, our expansion's really the best thing for us drive came from, but you need to evaluate whether that is actually a serious option.
I'm pretty sure they've talked about it. They just don't want to say anything to the community.
No, that's crazy though. That's why would they not say it to the community? You know how much they don't have to say anything about any of the content of the expansion. Just the fact that they are looking at expansions and that they will probably come is, and I get something more than that. Just the fact that an expansion is being worked on and will come. If they say that, that's going to add so much to the community. I can't imagine that they would make that decision internally and not want to announce it to us.
I don't.
That would be suicide for no reason.
Expansions really. I mean, we've talked about this before. They need something like that. They need to sell a box. Expansions are. It's not just because of content, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the just saying expansions gives you coverage, right? It gives you media coverage. Oh my gosh, Guild Wars 2 is coming out with the first expansion. Yes. Blah, blah, blah. That's why I want an expansion, not necessarily the content, because the content is coming out. But, and of course, I would love new races and classes and stuff like that. But the thing, how Cullen said, is like, people are saying, we're either getting living story or expansions when they're the same thing. And so I'm going to assume that means that if they release a new class or something like that, then it would be it could be in a living story or new weapons.
And I mean, to counter what you said as well, like one interesting argument that has been brought up to me, and I think it might have some merit, is this idea of expansion sounds good because there can be all of this like media push. They can really market the damn thing, and the general consumer understands what an expansion is, so they can get a lot of hype behind it. On the other hand, you can say with the living story that constantly keeps them in the news. Maybe not the big news, maybe just, places like MMORPG and, people who are particular enthusiasts about MMOs in general. But because if they're doing an update every 2 weeks and that keeps hitting media sites, then that does keep them in the news. And maybe the living story alone, through that fact, can account for just as much media than like an expansion would, where they just sort of get a big peak at some point. And also,
Super Adventure Box hit joystick as well.
So, and that proves that this kind of stuff can happen. I also take back what I said earlier as well, that I don't understand where this sort of initial wariness about doing an expansion comes from. I do understand that they don't want to spread the player base too thin. I completely understand that. An expansion, typically people think, oh, this means new areas, and if they add a bunch of new areas, then they're just thinning people out. And there's not much, I mean, there is an idea, we want to add new areas, but only when it doesn't make existing content go like a ghost town. We want everywhere to always be compelling. That's going to have to stop at some point. I think the main way they're going to have to eventually address that is like increase server capacity or something, so that you can have that many more people all the time, so it doesn't feel like a ghost town, even though the world does become like this immense, vast thing. So it's a difficult line to walk, but I do think definitely... How do we get onto this topic? But I definitely think expansions, man.
You went crazy.
Need to announce it.
That's what happened.
I went crazy, yeah. It's because we need an expansion.
What do you think about calling it expansion, but it's just an over-glorified living story, and have it be free?
And that would be cheeky. That would be crazy cool. I don't think, as much as it's a nice aside of the living story to say, these are all free updates, I don't think that's one big thing that, at the end of the day, we're really going to care about. I think if they're going to go for something large scale like an expansion, then yes, sell it. I think there is a certain value to putting a value on it, right? If it's free, then if people read free expansion coming to Guild Wars 2, anyone even slightly savvy is going to think, this means large patch. This means a large patch, and then that's going to stifle a lot of potential people to come back, I guess. But then I guess it depends on who you think the majority of people are. Are they people that are just going to be bored by the idea, or are they sort of less, more casual people that just like the idea of expansion, whether it's free or not? I don't know what I'm saying, but I think that I think an expansion's important. I'm going to leave it there.
All right, so I didn't finish my PAX story a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit into detail about the last day. So after all the Guild Wars 2 stuff, I had one more day of PAX, right? Yep. One more day to just sink in all the PAX stuff. So at PAX, you walk into the convention, and everything is fine. You could go to the tabletop stuff. There's a lot of like little areas, I guess, doors you can go through that has little rooms that have like all these meetups and stuff like that. But then there's the show floor. Now that's what you need the badge for. All right. Once you go to the show floor, if you're early, you're gonna have to wait until some long line, but everyone kind of gets in around the same time or whatever, like around 10 o'clock. So you go in there, you go on the show floor, and it's just like these like 3 huge open, I don't know, like everything's just flat. Everything's just open. Like I guess warehouse. If you think of a big, huge
PAX is a warehouse.
Yeah, and very clean warehouse, but doesn't smell too well.
Yeah, man, this is the main reason I want to go to PAX at some point, just to smell the BO in the air and see what people are talking about. And to see whether I get ill as well, because everyone always comes away ill. You didn't,
I did.
You
avoided it. I
it.
dodged the PAX box.
The PAX pox. And that's another thing. I want to go to PAX to see if I get the PAX box.
And then you get it and you're like, this is terrible. This is terrible. Yeah, everyone from all over the world comes there, and it's like, they're all in one place, not wearing deodorant. All types of...
They should give away free deodorant at the door, or it should be like, show us your badge to get in. Okay, you've got it. Awesome. Welcome to PAX. Here's one of those. Because you can get like those really mini deodorant bottles, can't you? And they should just hand them out.
I had to go get some toothpaste, man. And some hairspray, dude. I couldn't bring my hairspray on the plane.
Oh, no, not hairspray, man. I don't want the conventional stinking of hairspray.
No. It's not really hairspray. It's the mousse. It's like a conditioner mousse thing.
Oh, okay.
That keeps like my hair like
defying
moist.
Gravity.
Yeah, exactly. And defying gravity is cool. Well, no, really, I don't need it to do that. I just need it to go against the wind. Because my hair is really soft. If people don't know, really, really soft. It's not like really nappy hair like the usual black person.
You shouldn't tell people that. You get all the white guys going like, "Oh, can I touch your hair?
Well,
can I touch your hair? You said it's really soft."
You also get the girls too.
That's true.
Yeah, the booth babes. Yeah. Don't worry,
Do they still have booth babes there? Because I heard there was a lot of controversy about it, and they ended up like getting.
Yeah, there's not really any booth babes. I mean, there's some girls there, but they're not really booth babes. They're just kind of girls. And there's only some of them. Like, they're just like, they were dressed up and everything, but I think a lot of them were developers of the game. They weren't really like, there were like one or two big games that had babes, but really they were just helping out, it seems. I don't know. It was only one or two places, but most of them, if you saw girls, they were the developers. They weren't really actually booth babes or anything. They weren't dressed up.
How insulting that there's, this fully qualified woman that's been working really hard on a game. You walk over, "Hey, are you the booth babe for this place?" What ridiculous.
Exactly. But the way you can tell between a booth babe and a developer is that the booth babe does not know the game.
And she's not wearing anything.
I guess, is that what you class? Some of the booth babes, they just wear t-shirts for the game and they help people.
When I went to Eurogamer, I think it was before Battlefield 3 came out, and they had like a big tank outside, and it was cold. Okay, this is England. It was cold. It was like on the cusp of raining, and there were just like a bazillion women out there in bikinis. It was ridiculous, like khaki.
Wow.
Like it was crazy.
I heard China Joy, one of the developers went over there, and it was just like booth babes galore. Like people don't even go to see the game. Like it's all booth babes. I'm serious.
Wow.
Like it's nuts. It's nuts. Yeah, here like. I don't know. We were looking at this game. I think it had something to do with this. I don't know, this motorcycle game that I think Microsoft is promoting, where like a guy is hanging off the motorcycle and he's part of the mechanics, and you use him to like whack into the cars and stuff. It's some wacky game, and you can tell the girl that was talking to me was a booth babe because she didn't really know how to explain the game to me. Like, she was just like...
Yeah, now you can't explain it to me, and I'm just imagining the weirdest
you're definitely not a developer. You're a booth babe. That's how I can tell, like, not really how pretty, because there's some pretty women out there that, develop games. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, I don't want to get into that whole conversation.
I like how this is like shocking news.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that conversation
Attractive
about
women make games?
Women in the gaming industry and stuff like that. All I'm going to say is...
That you're sexist.
I'm sexist and, no, I'm not sexist. Obviously not. You play games, you play games. It doesn't matter if you look good or if you're considered, worldly, if you're considered attractive or not. You're a gamer, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah.
Everybody smells a BO in there, so it doesn't matter.
Everyone's poop stinks at the end of the day, doesn't it? I don't know if that applies, but there you go.
All right,
I got to check out one of my favorite games, Transistor. I waited in line for an hour for that. That's where I actually met one of the developers. John Carpenting was there with his carpeting. Carpenting.
You got it.
With his kids or whatever, and we hanged out with his kids, and we did Titanfall as well. Not Titanfall. Was it Titanfall?
Titanfall's a game coming out, yeah.
Yeah, Titanfall, the FPS games, which was actually pretty good for an FPS game. I mean, wow, like, I'm actually interested in buying an FPS game. I haven't played an FPS game in quite a while. Like, well, not really, like, I used to be devoted. Like, all I used to play Halo, Call of Duty, Gears of War, one of my favorite games of all time. Not the new ones, though. The new ones are kind of... But Transistor was great. Like, I loved it. I played the demo that everyone's seen before, so I blew through that like crazy. It was great. It was great as always. I think that game is going to be amazing once it comes out. I'm going to get that on day one. Also, like these were the two things I was going for as soon as the doors open was Transistor and Oculus Rift. And Oculus Rift I went to first because I needed to do Oculus Rift. But how is it possible that Transistor was literally like 2 steps away from the Oculus Rift booth?
Really?
So,
wow,
yes.
what a happy coincidence.
Yeah, so I went there, waited in line because you have the Oculus Rift, you have the developer kit.
I
got
do.
I got to try out the Oculus Rift because I really was interested in seeing how it looks and seeing if it was as, crazy as it was. And it is. It is. I gotta say, I'm gonna buy the retail version when it comes out.
That makes me really happy to hear. I'm so glad that you're on board with
it. It's quite amazing to be inside of a game and look around and see your hands and feet and like be inside the game. You really do feel like you're inside the game. For people who wear glasses, it works, by the way. But think of the Oculus Rift as you're wearing glasses. You know how you wear glasses and you acknowledge that you're wearing glasses and you see the rim of your frame.
But then you don't think about it after a while.
But you don't think about it. That's exactly what the Oculus Rift is. You kind of get immersed into the game. You know that you're in a game. Let's not kid ourselves here. This is not Sword Art Online, okay? You don't get jacked into the game and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I feel pain. No, it's none of that.
There's all these crazy ideas people have though, right? Of like having like a night out drinking or, maybe a little something else with your friends. And then like when someone goes to bed, like while they're asleep, strap the Oculus Rift on them, put them in like a really surreal demo and then wake them up again. So while they're still like, they don't have all their inhibitions about them, and then see how they react when they wake up just randomly and they're in this completely different reality, and see how long till they realize that they've actually got an Oculus Rift strapped on their head, or just spend their time freaking out and looking around like the beautiful candy land you've put them in. I think that's amazing. What a cool idea.
But I mean, they would realize there's something strapped to their face, wouldn't they?
It depends how intoxicated one might find oneself.
So you're talking about drugging them and putting them on there. You could drug anyone and put them on anything, and it would be funny to look at. I mean, really.
This is about the future of gaming at the same time.
Oh, gosh. I mean, really, I do think that Oculus Rift is part of the future of gaming. Like, it's going to be another big thing, kind of like what motion gaming was, but I don't think it's going to fall off quite as motion game did. I think after Oculus Rift, it's going to keep going into getting better and better technology, and then eventually kind of, they were even talking about having this in the regular day lives if they can get it to that point.
There's one demo, one of the best demos in terms of execution of 3D that I've seen so far that you can play on the Rift that is not designed to be a game whatsoever. It's a demo for previewing a house that hasn't been built yet.
Yeah.
But it's like a layout of a house somewhere in Thailand or something, and it's like made by the company to show potential clients.
Or a tour as well as museums and stuff like that.
Yeah. And virtual tourism, there's a lot of big terms and big concepts and stuff that, frankly, I feel like we're still about a decade away from. But in terms of games, we're much, much closer. I think 4 years max, we're going to be looking at some incredible tech and some really, really fantastic directions that gaming can go in. Like, really. And the experience is already fantastic. It's just it's a lot of hassle to get stuff working. Like, before we film this podcast, we're talking about using the Oculus together in a game coming up, a horror coming up, and it's a lot of hassle getting stuff to work at the moment. It's not user friendly at the moment, so I wouldn't recommend people buy them. But like your experience of it at PAX, I think is perfect. Really, that you get to experience it for a little while, not long enough to get super motion sick, but enough to see the potential of it.
They are working. Like, this is not some indie little company that are barely making any strides. No, they had a HD prototype there, so now they had the 1080p version there. So they are making strides, and they're leading to make it even better than what they have there at PAX. They're trying to make it even better than that. Hopefully, they don't go too far that the price goes way up, because really $300 is really one of those sticky things. After more than $300, you're kind of getting to like the new consoles, and you're gonna have to like, you know, it's just like, wow, I'm gonna spend this much money.
When they say that they're improving it as well, positional tracking is a massive thing that they're hoping to get into it. But in terms of the screen, its resolution isn't everything. You can have a high resolution screen that's quite small, and that means that the pixel density is much higher, pixels per inch PPI, and that means that it will look higher fidelity when you're looking at it, just by virtue of the fact that the screen's smaller, even though it's the same resolution. There's a lot of things like that, because the way the Rift works is the optics zoom you really close up to it. The dev kit version that I've currently got in my hand is 7 inches, and it's 720p, so it looks kind of bad to look through. You get used to it eventually, but it looks kind of bad. The 1080p version you saw was only 5 inches, so not only is it higher resolution, but it's smaller too. That alone is one massive thing that they can improve on and work towards. But the other stuff, like, you've got to look at refresh rates and how good it is at giving you colors and a whole plethora of things that they can work on outside. It'll probably still be 1080p is what I'm saying. The final version, I think, will still be 1080p, but it'll have a lot of other things that make it better.
I don't know really how Oculus Rift will work for Guild Wars 2, but, you know, that's a thing.
It won't unless ArenaNet give us a first-person mode and the ability to change our user interface, but I don't know whether that will ever happen.
Right, exactly. So, all right, so, by the way, glasses, of course, fit properly, and there's no discomfort with the glasses for people who have that. People who have motion sickness. I have motion sickness, especially in cars. And I played I didn't tell you guys what demo I played. I played a racing called iRacing, right? And basically they put you in a car, and for some people it was so real that they had to put their hands in front of them and feel like they're driving the car. It was quite funny to see them, because I don't think they realize that people are watching them play this game, and they had Hawkins
because it takes you completely out of the real world. That's
right,
the thing.
it does, and it puts you into that, and you have your headphones on and everything like that. I would want better headphones than what they had.
You said you did the racing demo, did you?
Yeah, they also had Hawkins, and I didn't get to choose. They kind of force you to whatever is available. So I put that on, and I got a little bit sick. It was there, and I felt kind of disoriented, but I kind of got used to it. I kind of got used to it after a while.
The other thing as well is a lot of the time it comes down to the way the software works. Everyone's got their own different distance between their eyes, interpupillary distance, which are all things that can be finely tuned when you have a real one in your own home. I'm wondering, on the iRacing one that you did you ever have a moment where maybe you crashed into something and you wanted to reverse? And then when you reversed, you had okay, so this is an experience I had with a racing demo, right? As I'm reversing after I've crashed, I'm actually looking over my shoulder behind me like you would in real life reversing. Like, to see back through the windshield behind you is the most bizarre, surreal, incredible moment that makes you realize how powerful this thing can be. Because you are literally reversing in the same way you would in the real world. You're looking behind you, you're not relying on pressing a button or whatever.
Yeah, I heard them talking about getting this for like consoles, right? It'll be like more of a peripheral than like, oh, they have to, design it for it or something like that, like a version just for consoles. So I was thinking, as you were saying that the reversing thing, like when you're playing with friends, can you imagine if this becomes more of a normal thing that you put on a headset? And put on the Oculus Rift, and you put on the Oculus Rift, and when you're like talking trash to people, you can actually look at them, like when you're racing and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, get back, and you just kind of look towards them, and if it has head tracking, you can see like the head move, and then you just kind of bump into them and laugh and do little emotes and stuff. Like, that would be amazing.
Minecraft is one of the best games for the Rift right now for many, many, many reasons, but one of the best things about it is you can play that online with other people who are also using Oculus Rifts. And I've not done it myself, but I've read a lot on the forums that apparently there is this crazy thing that, like, you look at them and the Minecraft characters are these ridiculous blocky looking things that are just made of a few pixels or whatever, but you like lock eyes with other people like in the virtual space, and it's this crazy thing. And yeah, you can expect a lot of that in the future.
MMORPGs doing this would be just great.
They would be so different from what we currently understand as MMOs, though. So different. From so many different angles, the games would have to be completely different. All this focus on UI, and Guild Wars 2 is supposedly an MMO that doesn't have much focus on UI, but it's still got incredible amounts of focus on UI that would just all have to be stripped away for a really compelling Oculus Rift experience. But I think eventually we'll get there.
Okay, I know we spent a little bit too long on this, but just to do a quick mention, just to give you guys an idea of where this is going. This guy built a structure for people to actually walk while they're using the Oculus Rift.
The
Omni, right? And it's like kind of like a half ball, I guess, that you're going to step into. And you have these special shoes that slide as you walk onto the
It's
floor.
not even necessarily special shoes. It's stuff you can clip onto your shoes so that it all works.
They're making that now, right? Like they're trying to make it as, accessible as possible. And they even have like half rigs that you can buy right now and, build your own.
I think the Omni's got a lot of problems. I think the Omni's very different from...
You're not gonna be able to use it. That's only kind of like for FPS and stuff like that. And even then, multiplayer.
There's a lot of really basic. The whole thing's about moving, right? The whole thing's about all it does is translate you walking around on essentially like a giant DDR pad, right? It just translates what your feet are doing into WASD, which sounds cool, but the whole premise is it's about moving around and stuff. And I commend this guy for making it and pushing this initiative, but. It takes a lot away from you as well, like crouching. You can't crouch.
Exactly.
A lot of
multiplayer would not work.
I talked earlier about positional tracking, which is probably almost a definite thing that's going to be on the actual consumer Rift. Positional tracking allows you to crouch and duck around and peek around corners and stuff in ways that the Rift at the moment can't let you do, and that's just not. And that's going to be in direct conflict with the Omni, sadly. I think also the Omni kind of pushes it into an area that it's not ready yet. We don't have the optics and stuff ready.
I think this is more for an arcadey thing. Like, this is a niche thing. You're like, let's go to the arcade, put on the Oculus Rift, and get inside the Omni, and we can play a game designed for the Omni and the Oculus Rift.
Yeah,
together.
I would love. Do you think video game arcade? We've been talking about this way too long, but do you think video game arcades are going to be a thing? Again?
I want that thing to come back so bad. That was probably one of my best moments of my childhood. It was going to the arcade, getting some quarters, and just doing playing arcade, playing Soul Calibur, playing The Simpsons arcade game.
The Simpsons!
Yes, dude.
What
one of my favorite. Got to the end and died because I ran out of quarters. It was the funnest $5 I would spend on the weekend, and man, worth it. So worth it. And of course, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Can't forget about that. Love it. And of course, Dead or Alive. Not Dead or Alive, sorry. Well, Dead or Alive, yeah. But
Extreme Beach Volleyball.
What it was called again? What's the gun game? Time Crisis.
Yeah.
They're all the same cheesy story, but you just kind of like playing, with real guns.
You get a gun, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. That's. I played a lot of indie games, Guns of Icarus, where I definitely want to play that on the channel. Me and One Potato should do something like that. If you get two other people to play with us, it was fun. The developers showed it to us, and it was just a blast, man. And they had these good headphones that just thump in my ear. A lot of cool games. I'll take your word for it. A lot of cool games, but I'm not gonna go. We'll ask on the live stream or something like that, or we'll talk more later. But yeah, let's go to the questions finally.
Okay, right, awesome. I get to stop being jealous about your PAX experience now. Right.
Jealous? You shouldn't be jealous at all. You should have came. Dang it.
Okay, all right, moving on.
I had a bed there waiting.
Moving on about the bed. Daggy28 asks, what do you guys want to see in terms of the upcoming raid content ArenaNet's working on?
So, at PAX, we got the chance to see to qualify. All right,
Tequatl fight, yes.
Tequatl fight. Basically, they changed everything about the Tequatl fight and made it to something new. And I guess this is what they were working on, and this is what they were hinting at. This type of raids, and if people like this, they're planning on revamping a lot more, of the dragons, or like, oh man, I don't even know I was supposed to say that. I think I would. No, I think that's fine. I think he mentioned that as well.
I think he mentioned
that. I think he mentioned that.
Revamp Tequatl and then leave the Shatter as he currently exists. No, come on, they've got to redo him.
Right. So it is not what I was expecting. It was not what I was expecting. I gotta say that, like, first off, like, I thought we were gonna get, like, expansion or something like that, but I didn't. But this is what people have been asking for. They've been asking for content, not just skins and stuff like that. They wanted content, and they gave them content. And I gotta say, what I saw was actually pretty cool. I don't know if I'm really into this though. I think I will be once it comes out and I see. It's all about the rewards, right? And the rewards are different colors for the ascended weapons, and I think that's good enough because I don't feel like crafting. I feel lazy right now, and it's kind of a little bit expensive to kind of get ahead. Well, at least right now until
you've got the
kind of goes down.
You've got the mini Tequatl as well, right?
I want that.
I think that there's a lot of stuff that's desperately to do with your rewards that's very, very has to be bang on. I think the Tequatl has to be really, really cool looking, pretty big, and I think he has to be tradable on the trading post, and I think he has to be rare, like stupidly, ungodly rare. Because if that thing's worth 300, 400 gold, then you're damn right people are going to want to go and do Tequatl whenever he spawns. If it's only worth 20 gold, people aren't going to want to do it. And when it's so difficult now, that's going to be a real issue. We already see people don't want to do the Karka Queen just because there's like a couple of champions in the way. It's going to be way worse for Tequatl. I think the fight's fantastic, and I love that there's difficult content, but it is it's on a very fine line here that the rewards dictate.
Exactly. It's always about, well, not always about the rewards, but it's kind of a little bit about the rewards. I mean, if you're not going to get anything for the fight, there's no point about it. That's what I like, and that's what intrigued me about the fight. Not necessarily that it is it's revamping Tequatl, because I'm interested into the raids type of stuff, but not too interested. But if you're gonna give me something for it, then I am all over that thing. Heck yeah, let's beat this dragon. And I gotta say, I feel like failing that battery event, whatever that to protect those events just to see that wave, because that is the best part about the fight.
But you've got to temper yourself as well, though, that these things look cool, and you could. I find it hard to kind of be excited about the cool looking new animations that they spend their time doing, because it looks nice and it makes the game look nice for casual passerbys at their convention while they're doing their reveal. But nobody's going to care about that after a while. I use the same example all the time. Nobody cares about the Jade Moor, even though he looks cool, because they've done it loads of times. That's another thing I really think that the Tequatl fight has to be careful with. That if I was ArenaNet, I would make this thing pop like 3 times a week, and that's it. It would be on a ridiculously long cooldown, and that's how I would treat all of the dragons from now on. I would have them have rare rewards, and it is really something to behold when that thing pops. When it's like, oh my god, Tequatl's attacking, it gives you a server-wide message, like the invasions when they're coming, and they should be rare in my opinion too, and people really get excited about it and rally about it. The rarer you make them, the more exciting the content is. And then I'll give a damn about the animations for way longer than I would otherwise, as it currently stands, where he'll pop 30 times a day or something, and half the time he's dead. So I think that's another important thing about the dragon fight, but I don't know to what extent they will play into those and use those as opportunities, because I can also understand, we want everyone to be able to see the content without being logged in all day every day. It doesn't have to be all that. I mean, I'm gonna stop myself from talking about like the app that they were gonna release for the iPad and stuff, because that would be perfect. If they had, I'm gonna say it right. If they had these really rare events, like the dragon only pops like 3 times a week or something. It's super rare, but they actually had that really good app for people's Androids and on the smartphones that then pings out and says, oh look, the dragon event is going to be happening in like 3 hours, or with it's in window, it's in a 3 hour window, so that people do know and they have the opportunity to get online and see that. I think those are vastly more exciting experiences that dynamic events could offer that we just don't see right now in the game. Think about the end of the beta events, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, it was fun. Would it be that fun if it was just popping loads and all the time? If like they were still in the game, it wouldn't. But because it was this really rare special thing, it remains that way to people. And I think that's how the dragon event should be. It should be if the dragon is alive on Tyria, you want to kill the dragon, not I've already killed him today, so whatever, and I didn't get lucky, so whatever. I think it should be more than that.
All right, next question.
Okay, next question. This is the last question as well. This has been really long.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna rant about this one as well. Okay, all right. So this one's on you.
Oh, really? Oh,
Wild Man Viper says, do you think ArenaNet will add in some patches in the future that will allow us to relive or replay moments that bridge the gaps between Guild Wars 1 and 2?
This is more like your question with the lore and everything, but they're already doing that with of course the fractals. Where
that's what I would say.
Yeah, they're already doing that with the fractals. I'm pretty sure you're trying to look beyond that. You know, man, I had an idea of what they could do, but okay. So if eventually they do release expansion, right, and they do release something with a Lona or a Cantha, it would be cool to actually go back and see what actually happened to Cantha, and that could be part of, you know, them discovering Cantha or whatever like that, or whatever happened.
I think that could be quite nicely integrated into the main plot.
Yeah, definitely. Like something happens and you get to experience it, right? And then all of a sudden you get the expansion or something like that. So it kind of, you know, the living story kind of led into the expansion, or, you know, whatever living story, I guess Cantha living story, but it's just a really big living story patch or something like that. I could definitely see that happening. And, you know, with all this technology that they've been doing, especially with like Super Adventure Box and all this like fractal stuff, I can totally see them doing that. You know, it's just something separate from fractals, not necessarily in fractals, but something separate, a dungeon that really, you know, takes place what happened to Cantha. So I could see stuff like that. What do you think?
I'm pretty much in line with you as well. I mean, the living story versus, I mean, we can kind of leave that for now. But I think that the fractals is the primary way that they'll do this for us. We're already seeing it with the Thormanova reactor. There are countless events they could show. If you're looking for inspiration about what those events could be, one of the earliest articles we ever had about Guild Wars 2 was something titled The Movement of the World, and it had loads of information about how Tyria became Tyria that we see today. There is untold potential in this game's universe for stuff they could take us to. Obviously, we're starting off with the Thormanova reactor. I think that's a good shout. I really do, because it's something we get to see. You know, if you're doing the Fire Elemental event, you get to see and remember, oh, look, once that fractal's out, it will really have a more profound effect on you, I think, because you get to go there in-game. But yeah, I think it is in their plan. I don't really have much more to add from what you said. I think you were pretty good with your answer, really.
All right, this ran too long, I think. Well, I guess it wasn't too long since we missed 2 weeks, but hopefully you guys enjoyed then. Anything you want to mention?
No, I'm pooped. I always get annoyed. I try and watch these after we've recorded them, and I get annoyed by my own voice. And so yeah, I'm done. I'm definitely done.
You're done. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed VisualWood. If you did, give me a like, share with your friends, leave a comment, say what's up in the comment section below, and stay visual.
I've got VisualWood.
Wow. Wow, how big is that?
It's pretty big, dude.
Oh. Does Ridlock have no pants? Let us take a look. Nope. No pants and nothing.